Good morning. It's 9:07 on the Chris Hand Show, brought to you by Better Water LLC. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you for joining us wherever you're listening, however you're listening, on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the 99.7 WTN app. Maybe you're watching on YouTube on Super Talk TV. Maybe you're listening to this after the fact on the podcast on Apple and Spotify. However you're listening, we appreciate you. Now, I want to kick off the show today, getting right into it. Drones. This story is not going anywhere. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, when it first started popping up, I didn't pay attention to it at all. But now it seems like this could be the biggest story in America. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security released a statement on Friday about all of these drone sightings in Jersey and claim that they have no evidence that the drones pose a national security or public safety threat or have a foreign nexus, and that they were operating lawfully. This is a joint statement from both security agencies, the FBI and the DHS, saying, we have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat or have a foreign nexus. Donald Trump says, shoot them down. Shoot them down. And I don't know if the videos are real, but there are videos going around. I saw one, a guy in Jersey, which, again, the way AI's come along, who knows how real this video is, but he shot a firework and nailed one of the drones. Saw that on Instagram and on Twitter. And but the camera cuts away right after the firework hits the drone. It's very shaky, so who knows if it's real. But you can't blame people for wanting to shoot them down. And that's what Donald Trump chimed in and said, mystery drone sightings all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know, and now. Otherwise, shoot them down, DJT. Shoot them down. I think we need to do something. We need to get to the bottom of it somehow. You know, the lack of the information that we're getting from the federal government has led to all sorts of theories online. Are these nuke-sniffing drones? Is this government overreach? They want to push new anti-drone regulations. I'm not sure. I wonder what you think. 615-737-9986. But Mayorkas, responding to Trump saying we should shoot them down, says, well, we're limited in our authorities.
You know, President-elect Trump has put out a post on this. I want to put it up on the screen right now. He says, mystery drone sightings all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know, and now. Otherwise, shoot them down. Your response?
Well, we are aware of the drone sightings, as I've said. I think there are more than 8,000 drones flown every day in the United States. With respect to the ability to incapacitate those drones, we are limited in our authorities. We have certain agencies within the Department of Homeland Security that can do that, and outside our department. But we need those authorities expanded as well.
With respect to the ability to incapacitate those drones, we are limited in our authorities. That's Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Did you expect him to step up and do anything at all? Probably not. The New York governor is demanding action. He's not exactly happy about this, and he wants this to be fixed, and he wants some information. Excuse me, did I say New Jersey or did I say New York? New York. Kathy Hochul says this has gone too far. Too far, she says. And she says, extending these powers to New York State and our peers is essential until those powers are granted to state and local officials. The Biden administration must step in by directing additional federal law enforcement to New York and the surrounding region to ensure the safety of our critical infrastructure and our people. This is because they want the authority to shoot them down. The drones are everywhere. Everywhere. And I was listening to News Nation. News Nation is quickly rising in the ranks for me as far as news goes. And they had a reporter on talking about the drones, and he's kind of in the same boat as a lot of us. We didn't think much of the story to begin with, but now he's like, okay, this is getting a little weird.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, I got to be honest here. You know, when this story first came out a few weeks ago, as a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters, and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights.
I didn't believe what I was seeing. But what was I seeing?
We're here in central Jersey. We've been looking for the past hour I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there. One after another, these drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
That is not a plane.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it?
That's what we want to know. That's what we want to know. And there's all this speculation. The drones are 8 to 10 feet wide. The drones are the size of SUVs. The drones are coming off the ocean. The drones are going in the ocean. The drones are coming out of the ocean. Nobody knows.
Hours earlier, I was invited to join the Ocean County Sheriff Department. They launched their own drones to see if they could intercept the mysterious aircraft New Jersey residents have been reporting in recent weeks. The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones.
Now, that is a piece of information that I find absolutely fascinating. They don't give off heat. They don't give off heat. Now, listen, that essentially rules out the public, right? Like every drone that the public could be using is going to give off some type of heat signature, be it from the battery or something else. These drones aren't giving off heat signatures?
Why do you think that is?
We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now. One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat, and they reported seeing 13 following their boat, and then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here. Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before.
This reporting out of News Nation and out of New Jersey, it's just wild. It's absolutely wild. But the lack of information, and Murphy always says this, and it's something I've said to him personally, I'm stealing it. The lack of information leads to speculation. And that's where we're at right now. We're in the speculating stage. Dave in McMinnville, you fly drones. What's your take, sir?
I've been in this hobby since 30 years ago. But here's the thing. Y'all are looking for information. People want to understand. The Biden administration enacted legislation through the FAA over 2 years ago to pin us down. It has destroyed probably 40,000 clubs in the United States, which is Academy of Model Aeronautics. You can look them up at modelaircraft.org. You can get information. Go to the FAA's site on airplane regulations. They have pinned us down that we have to buy a module that comes from the government. It's a federal ID thing. It knows where every drone of any type, right down to the square inches at any time. Now,
that's regulation. Excuse me. That's regulation that's already in. So if you're flying a drone, they know exactly where it is and whose it is.
Exactly. They know right where it's coming from, who's flying it, whether it's a club-sponsored deal or a personal, somebody like me that's got my own module in them. On top of it, I want to tell you a little bit that people don't realize either. These undetectable ones, the Academy of Model Aeronautics has been helping ever since I've been in the hobby to build systems with companies to help protect our country. They had one 20 years ago you could hold in your hand. It was undetectable. It could fly in day and night. It pulled solar energy for power. It was quiet, and that was a prototype, and they wanted better. And that was 20 years ago. So here's you some information. Like I said, you can go to FAA's site, look up the deal on the clubs, which
so you said 20 years ago, but you said 20 years ago they had a drone that could suck up power from solar.
Yes, and I've got pictures of it in our national magazine somewhere packed around here.
Interesting.
It's unbelievable. And the drones we're using that's flying unmanned with the all over the country, and especially our borders and stuff. That's where this all come from, was one of the clubs, 3W Engines and some others. But that's how this all come about. So they know where everything's at. They know what it's doing. They know who it is. It's all a crock of crap. Now, as far as these ones jumping out of water, I've never seen or heard of that. But, hey, but I'm assuring you the government knows everything that's going on, and it's the typical blow smoke, and we don't know nothing.
So
but
do you
the technology out
with,
there is way ahead.
But with your experience in the field, would you think that this is government drones, or do you think this is foreign adversary drones?
I believe it's both. I just haven't heard enough defined information that I can pick to pieces to tell me what I know. But in my opinion, in all the years I've been in it and what I know, I honestly believe it's a cross between our government, Biden administration, and possibly China or one of the other countries that hates us and has been flying over us, just like that last big box they said they didn't know after 2 weeks and all that. That was scanning information from minerals and skimming up information from people's computers and everything else as it was floating around the air, and they say it wasn't no big deal. Trust me, it was.
Interesting.
It mapped a whole lot of Alaska where certain areas of oil and different things like that, and I believe that's part of what's going on now, and then some more. I mean, we've got terrorists in Michigan with nuclear yields. Believe me, it's far ahead of what we're hearing, and these jacks ain't doing nothing about it.
Well, hey, I appreciate the call, Dave, and thanks for your expertise. You know, it does keep getting weirder, and the lack of information is insane. There's a 911 call that was making its way around online, and it's a 911 call center from North Stonington, Connecticut. They received a report from an individual named Lisa who claimed to have video evidence of these drones. And according to Lisa, these drones were repeatedly landing near an open solar panel plant field and appeared to be draining power directly from the facility.
The Pachena call for a suspicious drone sighting in North Stonington. The reporting party name is Lisa. She's driving back to Groton, but believes she has video of drones in the area that were landing in the solar panel farm, sucking power from the solar panel so they can continue their flights. You'd call her
insane. Now, I don't know if this is true. I don't know. But the reason we have so much speculation is we have no information from the federal government. And the federal government is telling us, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Frank in Winchester, you're up next on Super Talk. What do you think about the drones, Frank?
Well, just like your previous caller, I'm a licensed drone pilot through the FAA. As he was stating, you are required to have transponders on all of your drones, and all of your drones are required to be registered through the FAA. So if the government truly has no idea on who these are unregistered drones, probably either foreign or military tests. And as far as launching from the ocean, that is a possibility, because underwater launches like the Polaris missile for the United States Navy, they're not launched with their jets fired, their thrusters fired. They're launched from underwater in a bubble of air. When the unit clears the water, it senses that it has cleared the water and then fires the rockets. So it is a possibility to launch something of that size from underwater. There's no recovery, or it's a floating recovery, but it is possible to launch under the water.
Interesting. Now, if I buy a drone off Amazon, do I have to register that with the FAA?
Well, there's two different sections. It has to meet a certain criterion size and be used for personal use. If it's used commercially, personal use, it is suggested that it is registered, but it's not required. If it's for anything else, if you sell a picture, etc., then you're required to get a Part 107 license, and your drone is required to be registered by the FAA. It is suggested, if you have a personal, a small one, that it is still registered through the FAA.
Interesting. I appreciate the info, Frank, and thank you for the call. It's 922 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We got a lot more of your calls on the way, 615-737-9986, plus the theories. Are they looking for nukes? Is this government overreach? Trying to pass anti-drone regulations? Plus, Adam Kinzinger, he weighed in on CNN, and his theory is the most shocking of all. I'll bring you that next. But first, I want to say Merry Christmas from the entire family at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They got some great deals for you that won't break the bank just in time for Christmas, like a limited number of 14 SEER 1.5 to 3 ton split heat pumps for your residential unit replacements for only $6,995. It includes everything. That's labor, equipment, material, warranty, and it's the perfect balance of energy efficiency and absolute coziness in your home. That's a great deal from Busy Bee. How about this one? A $69 mainline camera inspection from Outside Cleanout, or a free package upgrade for air duct cleaning. Listen, if you got weird smells coming out of your vents, think about air duct cleaning. You buy a basic air duct cleaning package, and Busy Bee will upgrade you to the next package level for free. So you buy a middle tier, you get premium tier. It's that simple. Lastly, you can get a $500 gift card after installation of a whole home main water or drain line replacement, or a whole home water or drain repipe. For satisfaction guaranteed, you know who to call. It's Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Some arrests, but no real answers, as more people report seeing drones hovering in the skies above their homes. Also, Laverne police still scratching their heads over a break-in at the local library. Those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 9:28 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Adam Kinzinger, everybody's favorite Republican. He says, listen, these drones, they're not drones at all.
What I'm hearing from FBI is, we don't see a threat here. And look, honestly, every video I've seen, and I've spent the last couple of days looking at every one of these videos, every video I have seen on Twitter or on the internet are all airplanes. They're literally all airplanes. Some of them will show an airplane that's kind of stable out there and says that's a drone. And actually, it's an airplane flying towards you at 30,000 feet, and I can see the lighting on it. And if there are drones out there, by the way, and if any of these pictures that they have shown are actual drones, these drones then are complying with FAA lighting requirements, a green on the right, a red on the left with a strobe. And so it's not Iran, it's not aliens if there are drones. My guess is if there are drones, again, because again, all I've seen are airplanes, then it is more than likely some company that's out testing drones or something like that and has no requirement to tell the public that they're doing it because they're actually operating these things legally.
So he says they're not drones, they're airplanes. I think that is an ice cold take, although I do kind of, I agree with some of what he says. I don't think it's as nefarious as what some people are saying. I could be wrong, and I pray I'm not, because one of the theories out there is that they're looking for nukes. They're nuke sniffers. And this narrative, I don't know, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And you can weigh in at 615-737-9986. It doesn't make sense. So you're looking for nukes in one particular spot in New Jersey for 4 weeks and nowhere else. And you didn't find anything in 4 weeks. I just think it's a weird theory. I do. It sounds reasonable on the surface. And when you got Joe Rogan sharing those drone guy videos online, I can understand why people buy into it. And I understand why people jump on the bandwagon, but I think it's probably easier to admit that this would be our own government, not looking for nukes. The nuke theory part, just that to me, I can't wrap my head around and believe. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. But there are some weird things with the drones. And Adam Kinzinger says, oh, they're all just airplanes. The one thing that we can't deny is that there are weird things happening, including radio station interference when the drones are flying overhead. I'll tell you about that when we get back. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 9:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We've got your forecast coming up in a few minutes. Right now, it's 56 degrees under overcast skies. New York's Stewart International Airport and Ohio's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, both of them closed down over the weekend, all because of mysterious drones. And in Boston, 2 people were arrested for their drone antics.
This morning, 2 men facing charges after police say they flew a drone dangerously close to Logan Airport. Officers able to make the arrests after using advanced unmanned monitoring technology to identify the location, flight history, and operator position. In New York on Friday, Stewart International Airport forced to temporarily close its runways after multiple sightings nearby.
That's ABC's Whit Johnson reporting. The search is on for the man who broke into the Laverne Public Library using a big rock to smash his way in. WSMV4's Carly Gordon tells us he vandalized the library over the course of 5 hours.
He broke in at around 9 p.m. and then stayed there until about 2 a.m. Then police say he left and went on to commit another crime. A video here shows him walking to a convenience store on Murfreesboro Pike. This was at around 4:30 a.m. Police say he tried to steal candy bars, but store clerks ended up running him off.
Police using surveillance video say that man is in his 20s with a slim build. At the time, he was wearing a black jacket, gray hoodie, and blue jeans. Anybody with information is asked to call Laverne Police. Metro Nashville Police have not yet made an arrest in the shooting of two people at the Clarion Inn in Murfreesboro. Now, this happened on Saturday night just after 11 o'clock. Police say the man and woman were shot in a vehicle that was parked behind the motel. Reportedly, the driver tried to drive away, but he struck a wall, and their car came to rest in the front of the hotel. Both victims were taken to the hospital. Both had critical injuries. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 9:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What do we got? 8 days till Christmas? Oh, my gosh. You need a gift idea? Go to the Glock store. Get your significant other a training session in the Shoot 270 indoor shooting rooms. Yes, rooms, not lanes. More on that in a bit. Anything you need for Christmas, you can get at the Glock store. This isn't a little department in some huge store where guns are part of the business. At the Glock store, their primary purpose is to sell Glocks and then train you how to use them. That's what they do. That's what they know. That's why they're so good at it. So stop by, and they'll take time to show you why Glock is the most popular handgun in America by far, and for a reason. Then ask to tour the Shoot 270 indoor shooting facility. It's the only one in the country. You go to a lane range, and guess what? You go to a new lane range and it looks like the last one. And you go to another lane range and it looks like the last one. It's all the same. But the private shooting rooms with Shoot 270 offer one-on-one personal instruction. You'll actually you'll shoot less and learn more. And you'll always leave that room a better, more confident, competent shooter. Every time, guaranteed. If you need a last-minute gift idea, training sessions at the Glock store, that's a good one. If you got a gun aficionado in your life, get him a gift card at the Glock store. The Glock store, glockstore.com, and shoot270.com. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spice and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 9:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. The show brought to us by our friends at Better Water LLC. We're talking about the drones over Jersey and the theories surrounding them. It could be anything. It's Iran. It's China.
China?
It's our own government. They're looking for nukes.
Bingo.
They're trying to scare the public to accept more government regulation on drones. I saw one theory that was one of my favorites. It said, "Call me crazy, but there are mystery drones, and people are saying that they're seeing mists or trail of a substance coming from them." I'm in the ER right now. Now with people of all ages hunched over in excruciating pain, vomiting, with some with diarrhea. The staff told me that this is a new virus. Oh, so they're spraying things too. I don't know. I'm very skeptical on this entire thing. Very skeptical. I don't necessarily believe it's nukes. And it would be Iran. It'd be a dirty bomb. I don't know. Could I see a terrorist attack happening in this country? Yes, 1,000%. With our wide open southern border, with the amount of special interest aliens that have come into this country, absolutely, I could see a terrorist attack. I don't think I'd see a suitcase nuke. I don't think that's. I'm not sure that's within the realm of possibility. 8828 says private government contractors are working on a project that is called Project Convergence. It's a psyop to see the response to public exposure to drone warfare. That would make. I could see that. I could see our own government trying to get us ready for that. Drone warfare is the future, and if you've watched any of the videos from Ukraine, you know it as well as I do. But what's your theory on the drone? 615-737-9986. Dave in Hendersonville, your thoughts.
What's going on, man?
How we doing? What do you think the drones are?
Dude, I've heard 3 times today. You know who Gordon Shane is?
No, I do not.
Fox News. I seen him this morning come on, and he said that he thinks there is a warhead, a nuclear warhead that's missing. He thinks that they could possibly be sniffing for it. He also said that there's been 2 spikes of radiation in New York.
I've seen the
Whether or not
radiation
that's
maps.
true, I don't know.
And I don't know either. But I've seen those radiation maps all over Twitter as well that show spikes. But I don't know the source. You know what I mean? I've just seen the graphic.
Dude, I've got. I hesitate saying this, but I've got a video of drone flying over our neighborhood. My wife saw one Saturday night. I'd already went to bed, and she saw one outside. We both saw one we was coming back from the store, going down Indian Lake, and we both saw one then. So I've seen 3 of them. I got video of one.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that these are nefarious drones. I could buy a drone and have it delivered to my house by tomorrow on Amazon right now. So
these are big drones, dude. What I seen were big. They were like what you was talking about earlier, probably 7-8 foot. I mean, they were big. My wife said it looked like a freaking tank.
Yeah, but that still doesn't. I think that like the public nervousness around this is putting fear on any drone they see flying overhead. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean
it could be
that it's
it very well could
it's
be
bad. And I'll be honest with you. After all these stories, I've been thinking to myself, it's like I would like a drone. I want to buy a drone and set it up there and have some fun.
I want to buy one you can ride on.
I think that's just called a plane, Dave.
No, dude. They've got them size that you can. I've seen the videos. You can actually sit on it and ride on it like a hovercraft.
Really?
Yeah, you haven't seen those?
I have not.
Dude, check them out. They're cool.
All right, maybe I can get one delivered to my house. I appreciate the call, Dave. Merry Christmas, brother. I appreciate you.
Merry Christmas to you, brother.
All right, man. Yeah, listen, I don't think that just because you see a drone over Middle Tennessee means that it's the Iranians or the Russians or the Chinese. It doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's not. We definitely had a spy balloon fly over the entire country, and the Biden administration did nothing. And I think that's why everybody's like freaking out over these. The nuke thing, and you know what? I pray I'm right. I'm not subscribing to the nuke theory. I'm not. It's definitely one of the most interesting theories, but I don't know. I don't know. All we have right now is theories. We have no real information. None. No real information at all. Zip. Zero. Nada. And anytime we ask the government for information, they tell us that they don't know anything. They don't have the authority to shoot them down. But they'll tell us that there's no foreign involvement. Which that one gives me some pause. When they immediately rule out foreign involvement, maybe there is some foreign involvement, but I don't buy the nuke theory. I just don't. Call me a skeptic, and I love a good conspiracy theory. I do. I'm probably the out of all the hosts on Super Talk, I'm probably the one that you could talk into a conspiracy theorist a theory the easiest, and I just don't see it. I do like the theory that they're going for overregulation. But then the skeptic in me says, well, 99% of the public has no interest in drones whatsoever. None. People don't even understand how cool these things are or how powerful they could be. And to think that Americans would have opposition to anti-drone regulation, I think is a bridge too far. Because, again, 99% of the public doesn't care. There's, what did Mayorkas say? 8,000 drones registered in the country. Of 300-something million. Like, it's such a small percentage that are flying these things that nobody would put up a stink over anti-drone regulation. So all the theories are interesting, but you can shoot them down pretty quickly. But there is weird stuff with the drones. One of the weirdest things I saw was that New Jersey residents were having interference over their radio when the drones were flying overhead. And that one... That's a little bit spooky. This is in Staten Island. This person said they were listening to a Christmas radio station, and then all of a sudden this weird interference, and they noticed a drone above them. And that's over their radio, this woo, 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 woo. I mean, that's a little bit spooky, is it not? I don't know what it means. I don't think anybody knows what it means. Patrick in Lebanon wants to talk about the drones. What's up, Pat?
There was a Metro Police put out a thing not long ago saying they were going to have the drones flying over the malls and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen one out there at Tanger Outlets in Antioch. And even though they said there were going to be drones, people are already saying, I saw a giant drone.
Yep.
I don't know. This is some kind of crazy self-feeding, hysteria on the drones, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's everything it's cut out to be.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Pat. It does seem like the hysteria is getting to everybody. Tom in Nashville, your theory on the drones.
Yeah, good day to you. I talked to my special agent Mulder, and he's kind of concerned about what's coming up in January. And that's an outdoor inauguration. And we saw how good the Secret Service was when he was doing his speeches outside. Now this is going to be outdoors. And maybe they're testing on how far they can get in with the drone somewhere before someone can react to it.
Maybe. I mean, the reaction time right now is, what are we at, 5 weeks? So they'll have plenty of time. Maybe that's the case. Listen, there is geofencing around a lot of these locations, but we've seen that broken into before. There was a drone that flew over Fenway Park, and I found that very interesting because it's supposed to be locked out to these drones. Eric in Morristown, always one of my favorite callers. Your theory on the drones. What's up, Eric?
Hey, man, thanks for my call. Long time no see.
Hey, man.
Yeah, real quick, these unmanned aerial systems, or these unmanned aerial phenomenon that's officially been changed to within the government lexicon. I don't know if somebody's already addressed this, you've addressed it. If not, or if so, I apologize. But in September, late August, early September of this year, DOD put Northern Command in charge of all unmanned aerial system platform, surveillance, denial, defeat, degrade policy in the United States. That came out, okay? In September of this year, NORTHCOM, which is the head of NORAD, North American Air Defense Command, teamed with the Canadian Defense Ministry in a joint working task group to have joint, what they call it, synchronization is the new word, new buzzword, synchronization of response to unmanned aerial systems. October of this year, NATO conducted a drill with all the NATO allies in Europe regarding their response and synchronization of responses to unmanned aerial systems. Okay, what was the first place seen overseas? UK. What was the next place? Germany. All right, this all. So then you had all this. How should I say? I'm getting ahead of myself. So all this stuff going on regarding these drills, if you will, these exercises, if you will. So then in this year, what my assessment is, if you will, is that this began as an exercise. All these things start with what's called white papers, a theorem. Somebody's putting it out. Hey, we should think about doing this. People eat it up, buy it, deny it, or, send it up the chain, whatever, and it becomes a tabletop exercise where all these responses are discussed and they work out the bugs. Then the exercise goes, I don't want to say live, but then they have a tangible exercise to implement the policies and procedures, training and tactics developed in these tabletops to see if they work or don't work, what's best practices to continue with. Okay, so now, the beginning of November, we started seeing these all here's and there's. It did happen at Langley, the CIA building at Langley, sometime late summer, early fall of this year. Okay, so you got all this stuff going on. Now, if indeed, I do not believe they're foreign adversaries. Here's why. They got FAA lights on them. Look at the videos. They're blinking. That's not a foreign adversary, number one. Number two, if it was a foreign adversary, we would have already heard about it ad nauseum, most especially if it was Russia, or even Iran, which they tried to float that boat. I still think they're trying to get in on Iran, and the tangentially related is the Syrian, experiment that's gone on in the past 10 days. Everybody can see what's going on that one.
Yep.
Now, getting back to the stateside drones, yes, everybody knows that the FAA authorization from 2007, which has been amended, and I can't find the new amendments to the terminology anywhere yet. I haven't really dug into it super deep. But yes, that does expire the 20th of December of this year. Okay, I don't think any of this is coincidental, because if you look back to how an exercise is done, particularly with Northern Command, you start out at the local level. So you got these onesies, twosies. Then you have a regional response level. And then you see, like on the East Coast, and then we got a couple on the West Coast, and you see groupings here and there, where they call them swarms here and there. Then you see it at the continental level, which is all over the place on let's say, North America. Then you see the intercontinental aspect when they're going on in Europe. They're trying to coordinate it. It's called what they call a homeland synchronization exercise, where everything's being synchronized, because in the event that local, state, you'll follow up the food chain, the pyramid, so to speak, if they can't rectify it or take care of the problem, guess who supersedes even FEMA, and even in a national disaster? That's Northern Command. So people should I'm not saying they should, but maybe consider looking into some of this stuff. Now, do I feel maybe some nefarious actors are going to take advantage of a situation? Sure. Do I think some artificial intelligence videos are out there? Most definitely, because I also feel that the powers that be are monitoring the responses from the public and the reactions from the public to how best to perform future influence operations. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that there's you can go on any tangent on this, but I'm still thinking this is about vertical consolidation of control from everything from micro FM stations, if you will, which is theoretically what you have when you have remote controlled drone.
Yep.
That's micro FM, all the way up through dare I say, satellite, what Space Force's play in all of this, because if this is a nefarious drone or even a high-speed government drone, that's satellite controlled because of the redundancy, or the vertical consolidation of redundancy that'll supersede anything land-based, because you want to have full spectrum dominance in a battle space ultimately.
Yep.
So I'll just leave it at that, man. I appreciate your show. I appreciate your time and everything, man.
So real quick though, you're not buying into the nuke sniffer theory.
Okay, here's the thing on that. No, I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm questioning that, because here's why. they're going to have aerial surveillance. Okay, that means this thing's going to have to sit somewhere and leave its, let's just say, footprint. Okay, I'm sure everybody's traveled the interstate highways, and they'll see miles and miles of these construction cones, but no construction going on. Right? Everybody's seen it. Everybody gets TikTok. What's going on here? Whiskey Tango Foxtrot over. That sort of thing. That is also used to channel multi-lane traffic to slow the speed of travel in order for what's called a I might have my acronym added. My acronym might be out of date. Nuclear Emergency Response Teams to surveil traffic. So everybody remember after September 11th? Some people may not, but after September 11th, dirty bomb this, dirty, we got to get the sniffers out, this, that, and the other. So they would chant. Basically, it's called creating a choke point for travel. To slow the speed so that these, how should I say, clandestine, if not covert, sniffer systems, use a pedestrian term, detection systems, can be employed against, perceived threats or to detect, risk management and mitigate any potential risk of these, so-called dirty bombs. Now, people are talking about this one coming out of Ukraine, allegedly from the 80s and stuff. That could be here and there. I would think that have already been detected or wrapped up, so to speak. But here's the thing on that. Ukraine had nuclear weapons, and they were part of the USSR. Well, who developed those nuclear weapons for Ukraine? The Soviets. It came. The uranium probably came out of somewhere in Siberia, if not another allied country to we call it the former USSR. So let's say something happens. Well, what's the fingerprint going to be on that suspected radioactive device if it should be employed, detonated, or powderized, atomized, or whatever you want to call it for dirty bomb employment?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to have Russian fingerprints all over it because of where it came from. Russia. So I don't want to say we're in checkmate. The powers that be have us in checkmate, but there's a lot of layers to this onion, and it can go either way. There's a lot of lanes of travel that can be taken on several issues. But I think the hysteria is manufactured. Okay, that's my opinion. I think it's purposefully manufactured, and I'm not talking, the mainstream media. Hey, we're going to get together and do this. It's coming down from somewhere because they're showing same videos and the same. It's all, how should I say? It's never 4K crystal clear stuff.
Yep.
And it's all linear travel. And drones can be programmed for automated waypoints so they can zigzag and do this, that, and the other for grid pattern. Particularly, you can ask anybody doing that for like searches or land surveying. It'll do a certain pattern. You can program all this stuff. So again, I might sound hysterical or whatever, but there's a lot of lanes going on. I'm of the opinion this is indigenous technology being employed against the good people of the United States and the world, if you will, in order to obtain a conditioned response that, quote, we need something done.
Yeah.
And that's to, how should I say, pass the buck out of our hands, so to speak, out of our collective hands as individuals and as a society, up into the government power. Once the government obtains power, and this is coming from a retired, freaking retired sailor here who, has been there, been downrange and got a passport to prove it, that, in my opinion, that, they're playing for keeps on this one. There's a whole bunch of lanes going on right now. I can keep talking, but I appreciate your time.
Interesting. Hey, I appreciate you calling in as always, Eric. Thank you so much. Right. It's 9:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 10 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Chaos at the Kroger over the weekend after a man being chased by police tried to make a getaway by running into the grocery store off Thompson Lane. Josephine Crocker is a cashier who witnessed it all. She spoke with News 2.
He came out of the bathroom and he spilled a bunch of stuff in the pharmacy, and then he was running down aisle 17, and then the police were chasing him, and then it was crazy.
The man is still unidentified. Police say that his car had stalled out on Thompson Lane, and as they approached, they realized that he had a warrant out for his arrest. And that's when he took off on foot through the store. Eventually, police were able to tase the man and arrest him. In West Tennessee, a police officer responding to a report of a suspicious person outside of a home in Selmer was shot and killed Saturday. Officer Rick Finley was honored by his coworkers yesterday.
Very shocking and very heartbreaking. We know he was one of the good ones. He would give you the shirt off his back. He was one of the best.
Selmer police say that 39-year-old Daniel Holmes fired on Finley as he approached the home. A fellow officer shot and killed Holmes. In New Mexico, police have a suspect in a quadruple homicide.
16-year-old Diego Leyva called 911 around 3:30 in the morning Saturday to report that he had killed his entire family at their home in Valencia County, south of Albuquerque. Police found the apparent murder weapon, a handgun, sitting on a table, and say the boy gave up without a fight. He was hospitalized for detox and has been charged with 4 counts of murder.
That's ABC's Jim Ryan. And ABC News and President Trump came to an agreement over the weekend in a defamation case against the news organization. ABC and its host, George Stephanopoulos, have agreed to pay $15 million for Trump's presidential library and apologize. Here's Fox News host Arthel Neville as that news broke on Saturday.
Trump sued Stephanopoulos after he asserted in an interview that Trump was found, quote, liable for rape in a civil case, despite the fact that a jury actually determined Trump was liable for, quote, sexual abuse, which has a distinct definition under New York law.
Since then, George Stephanopoulos deleted his X account. Now, he did host his Sunday show as usual, but there was no mention of that settlement. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow Jones Industrials up by 11 points right now. The NASDAQ gaining 157. S&P 500 index is up 22 points. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 10:08 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. And if you were focused on the drones all weekend long, you may have missed the fantastic weekend that Donald J. Trump had. And it began when ABC News and George Stephanopoulos agreed to settle a defamation lawsuit that President-elect Donald Trump had filed. They're going to give him $15 million attorney fees and issue a public apology. Oh, so sad. The Hill's reporting that the news outlets and Stephanopoulos agreed to issue a public apology, provide the $15 million, and that would go towards Trump's future presidential library. It's going to be the Stephanopoulos wing. It's going to be fantastic. The outlet noted that under the settlement agreement, along with $15 million in escrow to go towards Trump's future library, ABC News has also agreed to pay $1 million in attorney fees and add an editor's note to the bottom of the relevant article. This guy just keeps winning. ABC also has to issue a statement of regret for their slander of the incoming president, which occurred during the election cycle. I love this stuff. I love it. You're going to be held accountable for the lies that you spread. The media doesn't get a free pass anymore. CBS, 60 Minutes, you're up next. Now, listen, let's be honest. They didn't settle this because they felt bad. They didn't settle this because they knew they were wrong. They settled this because they didn't want to sit through deposition, and they didn't want Donald Trump's attorneys to be able to go through all of Stephanopoulos' emails and all the emails at ABC. They didn't want to find out. They didn't want Trump to find out how corrupt they actually are at that network. So they settled out of court. $15 million. It would have been so much easier to just say, I misspoke. I misspoke in the last segment. But the hubris of the mainstream media, they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that. It's always the hubris of the mainstream media. We see it time and time again. And like I said, CBS, you're up next. CBS's Leslie Stahl, 60 Minutes is Leslie Stahl. She was doing an interview over the weekend, and she was talking about the death of mainstream media. It's legacy media is on the brink of death. And she doesn't understand that all of these people that are worried about it contributed to the problem. They started this. They lied to the American public over and over and over, and it caused the American people to no longer believe the mainstream media. CBS News, 60 Minutes, Leslie Stahl is extremely worried about legacy media being on the brink of death. Oh, you want to give me some audio?
You said is fraying. The press
fraying, you're saying.
Fraying.
Yeah, totally. And has been,
and as I said,
for 20 years.
Well, the press for 20
nothing's going to stop you from being the free press.
Well, you really are a sunny person, aren't you?
Sunny?
Well, I'm very worried about the press, extremely worried about the press.
Not only for the technological reasons we're all worried about, and not only for the financial tectonic plates moving, but for some other reason. What one?
Well, for example, I once asked Donald Trump, why do you keep pounding on the press? This was right after he won in 2016. You know, it's kind of boring. You say the same thing over and over, and you won. You know, it's time to drop it. Why do you do it? And he said, I do it and I repeat it because the more I do that, the less people are going to believe you when you say negative things about me and whatever else.
Totally.
And it's happened. If you watch the opinion of us, how many people trust the press anymore? I mean, we're way down there with the lawyers.
Yeah.
This is really rough, as you know.
Oh, yeah. It's Donald Trump's fault because he says that you lie. It has nothing to do with the actual lies that you tell. And let me remind you, CBS's 60 Minutes, they were the ones that heavily edited the Kamala Harris interview, right? And they left a lot of it on the chopping block, and they didn't air it. CBS, Leslie Stahl in particular, helped kill the trust of mainstream media. Don't forget, she was arguing with Donald Trump about the verification of the Hunter Biden laptop just a few years back. Let's call Leslie Stahl what she is. She is a a propagandist at best.
You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't
Look,
put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, I think it's one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen, and you don't cover it. You want to talk about?
Well, because it can't be verified.
You want to talk about insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course it can be verified. Excuse me, they found the laptop. Leslie.
Can't be verified.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
Why do you say that?
Because
even the
it's
family
verified.
hasn't. The family on the laptop. He's gone into hiding. For 5 days, he's gone into hiding.
He's preparing for your debate.
Oh, it's taken him 5 days to prepare? I doubt it. Okay. The media is fake. And frankly, if I didn't have social media, I'd have no way of getting out my voice.
Now, you can notice the changes in audio. It's because Donald Trump had to bring his own cameras into that 60 Minutes interview because he knew how they were going to edit it. And that part where it sounded a little bit airy, that was his own cameras because 60 Minutes wouldn't have aired that. Leslie Stahl in 60 Minutes helped kill the media. They did. This has been verified. I know. Put it on 60 Minutes. It's verified. You guys helped kill it. You guys helped kill it. Donald Trump had a great weekend. He's going after CBS next. He also was at the Army-Navy football game with one Daniel Penny. And that was, it looked like a wild crowd at the Army-Navy game. DeSantis was there. J.D. Vance is there. I think I saw Tulsi Gabbard and Mike Johnson. And Daniel Penny was the guest of honor. It's awesome. Oh, Hegseth was also expected to attend. Daniel Penny, the guy who was acquitted for putting Jordan Neely in a chokehold on a New York City subway, he was there, and I say good. J.D. Vance said Daniel's a good guy, and New York's mob district attorney tried to ruin his life for having a backbone. I'm grateful he accepted my invitation, and I hope he's able to have fun and appreciate how much his fellow citizens admire his courage. Well, they were all very, very excited that Daniel Penny was there, and it looked like a blast. You know that Joe Biden has never been to an Army-Navy football game? Not once as president? Not once. What? How could you not go? Why wouldn't you go to an Army-Navy football game if you're the president? Maybe he was worried about the reaction he would get. Joe Biden was busy over the weekend as well. They had their DNC holiday fundraiser. They didn't raise enough money. They need to raise some more. And Joe Biden was there. And he had some things to say.
The one thing I've always believed about public service, and especially about the presidency, is the importance of asking yourself, have we left the country better shape than we found it? Today, I can say with every fiber in my being, with all my heart, the answer to that question is a resounding yes. Yes.
Do these people believe that? Do they honestly? I mean, you can hear the clapping, you can hear the woo crew back there really getting excited. But how can you honestly say that, Joe? The country is more divided than it's ever been, right? Our economy is tanking. Inflation wildly up. We have global conflicts everywhere. A wide open southern border. We're actually discussing today whether or not the drones over New Jersey are there to sniff out nukes. And it's actually a reasonable theory. It's a reasonable theory. This is the state you left the country in. The country that you let a spy balloon fly over. We're in a better spot now. We're in a better position today. That's what Joe Biden honestly believes. He honestly believes that. This guy is insane. Absolutely insane. He needs to sail off into the sunset and never be heard from again. Unless it's at a criminal trial for treason. Because what he's done to this country, I don't know how you can describe it any other way. We're in a better spot today than we were 4 years ago. You know what else he said during this DNC holiday fundraiser? He said that they ran a scandal-free campaign.
But you really did a hell of a job. I really mean it. And the thing I most admire about working with all of you have great integrity. Great integrity. You've stuck with the deal. You've been honest. You've been decent. We've run a campaign that's basically scandal-free. It's hard to do in American politics these days.
Some people nervously laughed when he said we've run a campaign that was basically scandal-free. This last campaign where you got cooed out, where CBS had to edit an interview for Kamala Harris, where they had to pay celebrities to back her. This was the scandal-free campaign? Scandal-free? Jeez. And he said to Kamala, "You're not going anywhere, kid. This is. I know that this must excite the Democrat Party."
Well, look, it's also been an incredible honor to serve with someone of immense character, as she demonstrated through her entire career, Kamala Harris. I knew what I was doing, asked her to be my vice president. I knew her. I knew of her. I knew about her. I knew her record. I trusted her. She always served this country with purpose and integrity, and she always will. And you're not going anywhere, kid, because we're not going to let you go.
Oh yeah, you're not going anywhere, kid. There are rumors now that she's going to be running for governor of California in 2026. I honestly don't even think the people of California are that dumb to elect Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris had a chance to speak, and she was talking about all the money that they raised and how great of a job they did during that campaign.
As a result of your leadership and your support, the National Finance Committee held more than 700 events across the country and raised nearly $700 million. An historic achievement, which without a doubt made our campaign stronger.
Strong enough to lose. Strong enough to lose. And a historic achievement also left you $20 million in debt. And that's probably why you're at the DNC holiday fundraiser begging for more cash. Kamala Harris. She's not going anywhere, folks. Get used to it, kid. Okay. I don't think anybody's going to be voting for anything. For anything. Jeez Louise. On the way, do you know how much January 6th arrests have increased in the year 2024? It's going to blow your mind. We're three plus years removed from J6, yet they're still going after MAGA Mimas, and they've actually increased big time the arrest on J6ers. We'll talk about that next. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to
Thank you, Joan Jones. 1025 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. January 6th arrests in 2024. They've actually increased by 24%. 24% in 2024. How? It's a bang-up job you're doing over there, FBI. The U.S. Department of Justice has admitted that it has arrested 1,572 people in 2024 for the alleged crime of being at the January 6th Capitol Hill riot, a 24% increase from the previous year. They've arrested another 1,500 people? Is this not insane? Is this not insane? Hey, real quick, can you pull up CNN in there? Donald Trump is speaking right now at Mar-a-Lago. And I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about, but I think it's important enough to go to live.
People don't have to come back into the office. It involved 49,000 people. For 5 years, they don't have to go. They just signed this thing. It's ridiculous. So it was like a gift to a union, and we're going to obviously be in court to stop it. The other thing is really terrible. We spent a tremendous amount of money on building the wall. The wall was designed specifically by the Border Patrol because it's very hard to climb. They need to have see-through. They need it to be steel because you can't cut. It's very powerful steel. It's very hard steel. It's a special type of steel, but very, very hard to cut. Inside the steel, as you know, we pour concrete, and that's a grade 10 concrete, which is a very strong concrete, very as though you were building about a 60-story building. It's very powerful concrete. They've made tremendous technology advances in the word concrete. Who would think that? But I know that from the construction industry. Today, what you can do with concrete is incredible. So we have a very strong concrete. And then we have a rebar. We put rebar inside the concrete.
So
and
I'll
the
admit,
rebar likewise is very hard to cut.
We kind of went to this live.
Very
I didn't know it was going to be
process,
breaking down
very
concrete and
expensive
rebar.
wall. And then we put a.
I did hear the Doge thing, though, in the beginning. Where he's talking about the federal employees and the 5 years that they could continue not working at the office.
We had mountain climbers actually testing, and they were not able to get over the anti-climb plate. So I said, all right, I guess we're going to put it on. That plate on top, which I never loved the look of it, but it works so unbelievably well, you have to do it. So we spent a lot of money on building it, and we have hundreds of miles that we put up. A lot of people don't realize, but we did 571 miles of wall. That's why we had such good records, in addition to the fact that Mexico helped us with their military. They kept people out, and they were actually very good under the past leader. But now we ordered an additional 200 miles of wall. It's very expensive. And now it's about double the price of what it would have been 6 years ago. And the administration is trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, knowing that we're getting ready to put it up. And what they're doing is really an act. It's almost a criminal act. They know we're going to use it, and if we don't have it, we're going to have to rebuild it, and it'll cost double what it cost years ago, and that's hundreds of millions of dollars, because you're talking about a lot of wall. I built much more than I said I was going to build, but then after it was built, I said, you know, we can do some more because it's sort of like water, people flow through, and that will pretty much really take care of it. And what happened?
All right, you're listening to President-elect Trump speaking
Perfect.
there.
We can pull that back. Yeah, the CNN cuts him off as soon as he starts getting into the wall and how Joe Biden is selling the pieces of the wall. It has been, peaceful transition of power. It has been the pettiest transition of power that we've ever seen in American history. And from the increase in arrest, 24% increase in arrest for J6 protesters in 2024, that's insane. They're auctioning off the border wall materials. That's insane. And they're just, this is the pettiest administration ever. This is going to be Joe Biden's legacy. Petty. And Joe Biden, he gets a pass. He gets a pass on all the commutations. He gets a pass on all the pardons. They commuted a sentence, and they sent this guy back to China. He had 47,000 pieces of child abuse material on his laptop. With the material as young as infants and toddlers. These are the people that Joe Biden is commuting the sentences of. This administration has been a disaster. January 20th can't get here soon enough. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Two people are lucky to be alive after their car sped through downtown Lebanon early Sunday morning and went airborne through Lebanon Square. This happened at 3:30 in the morning. The car then crashes and damages several businesses. It mowed down several light poles and took out some trees, shrubbery, and fencing along the way. Two people inside the car were taken to a hospital. They were both arrested. Police say speed and alcohol are believed to be factors in that wreck. An elderly woman was killed in an apparent hit-and-run crash in South Nashville yesterday afternoon. A nearby resident found that 83-year-old woman lying in the street at Wingate Avenue near Sunrise Avenue and called police. She was taken to Vanderbilt University Medical Center where she was pronounced dead. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers. A possible explanation about those mysterious drones. Former CIA officer Laura Ballman tells Fox News that she has a hunch.
Perhaps this is actually a classified exercise to test either evasion technology or detection technology in urban areas.
She says that hunch comes after parsing the words of National Security spokesman John Kirby, who said the drones are not operating illegally, and reading op-eds about the need to look at our detection systems. Baumann, however, doesn't think the drones are being operated by the CIA directly. And that server at a Washington, D.C. bar who told the Washingtonian last week that she would not serve members of the incoming Trump administration, well, she's looking for a new job today. Susanna Van Ruy was canned by her employer, who said the staff is simply horrified and asked the public not to condemn the rest of its employees because of her behavior. That's the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know how I know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
Court, the popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime. And we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary people.
You're totally right.
That's Van Jones. Just absolutely beside himself. We look like idiots. The mainstream media. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. We look like idiots. We do. You do. You do. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun to watch the red pilling of all these people. And in conjunction with the pettiness of the Biden administration on the way out, it is a sight to be seen. That was Van Jones. Donald Trump is smarter than all of us. He's the most powerful human on earth in our lifetime. We look like idiots. They do. They do. You know, we're watching like this slow but sure red pilling of all these people. All these people that really they're upset. They can't believe they were wrong. Stephen A. Smith, I'm of the opinion that Stephen A. Smith is completely red-pilled now. Stephen A. Smith is he's famous for the ESPN First Take show. He does the Stephen A. Smith show now. But, we talked a moment ago, J6 arrests have increased 24% in 2024. Another 1,500 people have been arrested. 24% increase from the previous year. Insanity. This is after we've learned that the FBI had confidential human sources, 26 of them in the crowd. It's insane. And learning that the FBI had 26 confidential sources in the crowd has really pushed Stephen A. Smith over the edge.
The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appear to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. The belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case.
Yeah, isn't it always convenient how this stuff comes out after the election? Isn't it? I mean, to a lesser extent, and we all have our opinions about the schmack scene, but that came out right after the 2020 election. Oh, by the way, this is ready now. Weird. It always seems like this stuff happens after the election, not before it. Nothing like this would come out to help Donald Trump beforehand. It comes out after.
And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way.
Well, get used to it. This is going to continue happening. Yes, the Democrats lie through their teeth constantly with one objective in mind. The objective is hanging on to power as desperately as they can. That's why a lot of people are looking at the drone stuff in New Jersey and the theories going around online. And they're like, yeah, this is part and parcel for the course, because no matter what, they don't want Donald Trump taking office on January 20th. But the Democrats, man, you're losing even your most fervent supporters. Guys like Van Jones, guys like Cenk Uygur, guys like Stephen A. Smith. These guys have your back. All you got to do is tell the truth.
I mean, I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? I'm getting to the Democratic Party. You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right to make the case that the right had a monopoly on insidious, evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies, duplicitous, hypocritical, untruthful tendencies. And every time they made those accusations, we turn around and find out that at least some of them are guilty of the same shit. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it.
Yeah, well, Stephen A. Smith, we got room for you over here, man. If you're waking up to the lies of the Democrat Party, we're here. We're here. It's gotten to the point where even a lot of Democrats are looking forward to working with Trump because they understand what's going on. They understand. Bernie Sanders was on a weekend show over the weekend saying, hopefully I can work with Donald Trump on raising the minimum wage. Bernie Sanders has also been on the record saying, hopefully I can work with Doge. Even one of the most prominent Democrats, Mitt Romney, is saying, listen, the Democrat Party is in trouble.
You said in an interview a few months ago that, quote, there's a good chance that the Republican Party is going to need to be rebuilt or reoriented, and that you want to have a voice in the post-Trump Republican Party. Do you think that do you still think there's going to be a post-Trump Republican Party, or is MAGA now the Republican Party?
Oh, MAGA is the Republican Party, and Donald Trump is the Republican Party today. And if you were to ask me who the nominee will be in 2028, I think it'll be J.D. Vance.
Yeah, I think he's right. I think J.D. has to earn it. Let's not make any assumptions that he's going to be the nominee in 2028. Let's see how these next few years go. I think it's a safe bet. But Mitt Romney just trying to stay relevant. Where were you before the election, Mitt? Right? It wasn't before the election he's saying, I can't bring myself to vote for Donald Trump. Now he's on CNN basically sticking up for the MAGA movement.
All right. He's smart, well-spoken, part of the MAGA movement.
You said something pretty harsh about him a few months ago, though. You could not have less respect for somebody than J.D.
Long ago. I'm not going to rehash history. And we've worked together in the Senate since then.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, you're a rhino loser, and one thing you really love is power. You're just as bad as the Democrats. And while you trash talk J.D. Vance and Donald Trump months ago, now that they've won, well, that's a horse of a different color. Now you're a big fan. Mitt Romney, I think that he should also sail off into the sunset. Isn't he retiring? Wasn't he supposed to retire already? Yet they're still having him on State of the Union with Jake Tapper. Okay.
But I that is what the Republican Party is. And will the party need to change? Look, the Republican Party has become the party of the working class, middle class voter. And you've got to give Donald Trump credit for having done that, taken that away from the Democrats. Democrats pushed him out. All right, the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren faction of the Democrat Party with some of this, defund the police and transgenders in, biological males in women's sports. These things had a lot of people in the middle class just flee the Democratic Party. They're now Republicans. Now, one of the challenges in my party is that our policies do not necessarily line up with the interests of our voters. And so there'll be some reorientation that's going to be necessary in my party. The Democrat Party is the one in trouble. I don't know how they recover. I'm not going to tell them what to do because I would begin to have the capacity to do so. But they've lost their base. Union guys and gals have left the Democratic Party and are voting Republican.
Yeah, the Democrat Party went way too woke. And then they became pro-war, and then they became pro-censorship, And then they became everything that they never used to stand for. They forced a lot of people out of the Democrat Party. Mitt Romney, though, I don't think he has any place in today's Republican Party. I think Mitt Romney is exactly that kind of old school Republican guard that we're trying to get away from. Mitt Romney is everything bad about the Republican Party. The never Trumpers, the rhinos, the neocons. Mitt Romney's all of that rolled up into one. Mitt Romney had an opportunity to reshape the Republican Party, and he couldn't beat Barack Obama. So, Mitt, thanks for coming around. It's a little bit, a little too late for you to be joining the party, and you weren't invited. But thanks. How does the Democrat Party fix themselves? The Democrat Party is in total disarray. They're going to have at least 4 to 8 years of absolute obscurity, and it's going to get even worse. The Democrats hate their leadership. Even people that worked for Kamala Harris on her campaign staff, former senior campaign staff, including ex-campaign manager Julie Chavez, are weighing the options right now about breaking their NDAs to pursue lucrative book deals and exclusive interviews with tell-alls about Kamala Harris behind the scenes. And the tell-alls are expected to reveal all sorts of details they don't want aired in public about Harris, Waltz, their families, as well as the dysfunction and the infighting that erupted from day one between the Biden holdovers and the Kamala team, which they say plagued the campaign throughout. So they're trying to keep their former aides quiet. Harris is scrambling to assemble a legal strategy, but her efforts appear to be unraveling, and you see that when you got ladies like Lindy Lee out there, Democrat strategists. You got David Plouffe out there who've already started speaking out in recent interviews to reveal all of the terrible stuff going on behind the scenes, from the chaos to the financial mismanagement. The Democrat Party is going to have a tough time to recover. I'm probably not going to buy those books, but I'll read the excerpts. And if those books come out, there's rumors that Kamala Harris is going to run for governor in 2026 of California. I think she's going to be absolutely cooked by then if these books come out. CNN is reporting that she is seriously considering a run for governor of California in 2026.
Tell us what the likelihood is of Harris running for governor.
What she's been saying to people over the last couple of weeks, donors, other supporters that she's been talking with, is, you haven't seen the last of me. I'm not going quietly into the night. Advisors, people close to her, are debating about what that means. They do not want her final official act ever to be essentially certifying Donald Trump's win over her.
I hope it is. How does Kamala Harris win the governor of California? Is California that messed up that they'll vote in Kamala Harris? I've heard some other names floated for California governor, including one Nicole Shanahan, who was the VP of RFK before he dropped out of the race. Which I'm of the opinion, and many of my friends are of the opinion, that she would destroy Kamala or Gavin Newsom. And the reason that she would destroy them is because of the just brutal, harsh honesty she would bring. But Kamala, thinking about governor.
Especially 4 years after January 6th. And so they look at this governor's race in California in 2026, and it seems to them like a layup, essentially, that she would probably clear the field, or mostly clear the field, and she would get to be governor of California. It's a pretty good job, right? It was good enough for Ronald Reagan and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jerry Brown. But if she does that, that means that she couldn't turn around and run for president again in 2028, right? She'd need to essentially declare right away. And that is what it really comes down to, because there are people close to her who say she didn't get a fair shot this year. It wasn't up to what she could have done, and look how well she performed anyway. She should get to go again in 2028. And then there are ones who say, look, with where things are with the Democratic Party, she would not have a clear field, a cleared field, rather, in the Democratic primary, and could lose the nomination. And to come off of 2024 into that would be really terrible.
Yeah, it would be. And I'm of the opinion that the reason that they pushed Kamala to the front was to clear the deck for 2028, because if he didn't have Kamala run and Joe Biden took the L, then she would be the one that would be up front in 2028. I think that the Democrat Party already strategized that. California's governor, I don't think very highly of California, but I don't think that low of them either. And I'm not sure the voters would approve of that. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. On the way, Nicole Shanahan. I mean, she could be a good governor for California. I'm a huge Nicole Shanahan fan. She's going to be speaking next weekend at America Fest, and I'm going to be there. I'm actually looking forward to her speech, among others, very, very highly. And the honesty that she brings and that RFK element, listen, these organic, crunchy granola moms, they love RFK. And I think they'd love Nicole Shanahan too. RFK has been giving a bunch of interviews talking about the effectiveness of vaccines and whether or not they give kids autism. He actually sat down with John Stossel, and it was a fascinating interview, which I'm going to bring to you on the way. It's 10:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
36 days until his second term, and President-elect Trump says Biden is trying to sabotage border security. Hear it coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 10:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, you wanna hear some surprising facts? I have some astonishing facts. Japan does not fluoridate their water. Japan does not give the hepatitis B vaccine to babies on their first day of life. The Japanese live 10 years longer than Americans. Is it anti-science to ask questions about this? It definitely angers a lot of people. It angers a lot of people. Interesting. You wonder why it makes them angry. Maybe it's the money involved. Maybe a lot of people push back against RFK because of their own stock portfolios. Perhaps. But there's an interview going around with RFK Jr. and John Stossel. And they're discussing the efficacy of vaccines and whether or not they contribute to autism in this country.
We're low on time, and I want to get to vaccines. If your kids were young now, would you give them the measles, the mumps vaccine?
No. I got measles, mumps when I was a kid. It was...
Lots of people used to die from those diseases.
Well, you know what? They died in the 1900s or early 1900s. There were about 10,000 Americans a year who died. In 1964, there was about 300 or 400 who died, and they were almost all severely malnourished kids, mainly from the Mississippi Delta. This was before the poverty program, so there was a lot of starving children in our country. It's very, very hard to kill a healthy child with any infectious disease, but particularly with measles.
These kind of opinions really rub people the wrong way. Really, really do. But RFK has a lot of opinions that rub people the wrong way, especially when it comes to the measles vaccine, the hepatitis B vaccine, and the question that's been asked for years: do vaccines cause autism? All of these questions were addressed in an interview with John Stossel. I'm going to bring you that interview next because why not? What's a YouTube strike between friends? It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. President-elect Trump speaking from Mar-a-Lago, talking border crackdown, particularly how President Biden's administration's quietly clearing away unused southern border wall materials to put up for auction in what some Republicans say is sabotaging Trump's goal of securing the southern border.
The administration is trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, knowing that we're getting ready to put it up. And what they're doing is really an act. It's almost a criminal act. They know we're going to use it, and if we don't have it, we're going to have to rebuild it, and it'll cost double what it cost years ago, and that's hundreds of millions of dollars, because you're talking about...
Transition news here. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., President-elect Trump's pick to head the Department of Health and Human Services on Capitol Hill today. He's working to drum up support for confirmation. Still no firm answers about the hundreds of mysterious drone sightings in the Northeast over the past several weeks. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest on what the federal government's doing to track the drones and make sure they're not harmful.
The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are using infrared cameras and drone detection technology to make sure the drones flying over New Jersey and New York are not harmful. That's according to a law enforcement source. The federal agencies are also turning to social media and examining the photos posted there. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told ABC on Sunday most of the objects are manned aircrafts. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security say there is no credible threat to the public at this time.
A Texas woman who just wanted to print a Thanksgiving recipe off the internet ended up losing her life's savings. Jim Ryan says the woman had fallen for a pop-up scam.
A pop-up window advises that the computer is infected with a virus and that the user should call a specific phone number. Over 3 days, a woman in Pasadena, Texas was convinced that she needed to move all of the funds in her bank account to what she thought was a new account. Pasadena Police Detective Jonathan Jernigan.
You just need to question everything. Every phone call you get, every email you get, every text message you get.
The victim in Pasadena, a woman in her 80s, handed over $150,000 to scammers.
New numbers in the seemingly endless search for the magic number of steps to take in a day. Here's Brian Clark with that.
There is no magic number of steps a person should take in a day, but a new study of nearly 100,000 people found that those who took at least 5,000 steps per day experienced fewer depressive symptoms than those who did not. There was also a 42% drop in prevalence of depression for people who took at least 7,500 steps per day. More research is still needed to determine any other factors that might have influenced the findings.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, True Social, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. I'm going to actually retweet this video that I'm going to be playing for you here. There's an interview between RFK Jr. and John Stossel, and it's a fascinating interview. Because everybody wants to know about vaccines. Everybody wants to have their questions answered. And RFK seems like a guy that doesn't care who gets upset along the way. He's going to tell you what he really thinks. And I like that. I'm a fan of that. In this interview, he was asked about a lot of things. The measles vaccine, the hepatitis B vaccine, and the big question that has been asked for years, yet all we get is talked down to, is do vaccines cause autism? These are real questions, and I think these are questions the American public at least deserves some answers to. Can we at least look into it? You know, here's the thing. If you say X causes Y, then the YouTube gods will pull down the stream. You know, they'll be very upset. And I'm not saying that at all. I don't think correlation or causation is always correlation, whatever, you know, the thing goes. That doesn't mean that. But I do think that the vaccine schedule for kids has exploded since the 80s. What they want to give my kids is much different than what I had to get. And there's no debate about that. That's just science, right? But there's a lot of questions you're not allowed to ask. RFK is bringing an element to this administration where these questions are going to be asked and they're going to be dived into. And in this interview with John Stossel, they go through a number of these questions. And I love RFK's answers. I do. They started with the measles vaccine.
We're low on time, and I want to get to vaccines. If your kids were young now, would you give them the measles, the mumps vaccine?
No. I got measles, mumps when I was a kid. It was...
Lots of people used to die from those diseases.
Well, you know what? They died in the 1900s or early 1900s. There were about 10,000 Americans a year who died. In 1964, there was about 300 or 400 who died, and they were almost all severely malnourished kids, mainly from the Mississippi Delta. This was before the poverty program, so there was a lot of starving children in our country. It's very, very hard to kill a healthy child with any infectious disease, but particularly with measles. And the World Health Organization now says vitamin A is an absolute cure for measles, which we didn't know about back then. Back then, you know, we were treated with chicken soup, and it was, you know, a week at home watching Leave It to Beaver, and every kid caught it.
Yeah, listen. Every kid caught it. You can pull up old episodes of like the Brady Bunch where they would have like the measles party, you know, Cindy gets measles and then, chicken soup and she hangs out for a week and then she's fine. Everybody got measles back in the day. Everybody did. Now everybody gets the vaccine against it.
Every single kid got it. And I had 11 brothers and sisters and we all got it and we were all fine. And there are lots and lots of studies out there now that show that kids who get measles as a child are much healthier when they grow up, that they're much more resistant to cancers, to atopic diseases, to allergies, and to heart disease.
That's fascinating to me. I don't know if it's fascinating to you, but he says that, a couple things. He says the World Health Organization, WHO, themselves say that vitamin A is an absolute cure for measles. Then he says something that I want to dig in on more. Kids who are exposed to measles as kids are much healthier when they grow up. And they're more resistant to cancers, atopic diseases, allergies, heart disease. Let's dig into that. Is that the truth? Is that the truth? I don't know if it is. I don't know if it isn't. But I want a guy that is going to bring some data to the table and some explanation, like RFK Jr. That's what I want. And John Stossel brings up an issue in Samoa. Apparently, RFK got blamed for a bunch of measles deaths in Samoa back in the day.
You went to Samoa. You convinced people not to get the measles vaccine. An outbreak resulted in 83 deaths.
Yeah, well, that story is not true. First of all, the Prime Minister of Samoa stayed the measles vaccine after measles vaccines killed a number of people in Samoa, including members of his family. So when I went to Samoa, the ban was already in place. And I visited people in Samoa. There was no policy that resulted from my going to Samoa. Secondly, nobody died in Samoa from measles. They were dying from a bad vaccine. And the vaccine was imported from Australia and given to people who had measles, which is not recommended.
In fact, I remember that during the COVID vaccine stuff. A lot of people were like, if I've already had COVID, should I get the COVID vaccine? What is that going to do to me? These are questions. These are just questions.
The same measles outbreak hit Tonga, which is the neighboring island, and nobody died because they didn't get the vaccine. So this is more propaganda by the pharmaceutical industry, which is, drumming up a lie to try to discredit me. But if you actually look into it, John, you'll find that it is not true.
You got to love a good fear propaganda, right? But they had one island where the vaccines were administered and people died. They had one island where no vaccines were administered and nobody died. I mean, do with it what you will. Come to your own conclusions and do your own research. But we have a guy that's going to be going in as the HHS director that is not afraid to ask these questions, and he's not beholden to the pharmacy companies. And the pharmaceutical companies lie to try to discredit him, in his own words, every chance they get.
And you still say that autism is caused by vaccines?
Yeah, autism is caused by vaccines.
This is the one. This is going to get me in trouble on YouTube. I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions, and this is a question that's been around for a long time. RFK Jr. is asked, "Do you believe vaccines cause autism?" And he says, "Yes."
And by the way, CDC's own data, they did a study called the Verstratton study in 1989, and they looked at the hepatitis B vaccine. They looked at children, and from the biggest database in the world, the Vaccine Safety Data Link, they looked at children who got the hepatitis B vaccine during their first 30 days, and they compared those to kids who got it later or didn't get it at all. And there was a 1,350% elevated risk for autism among the people who got the vaccine.
There may well be, but there are studies with millions of people. You ignore the big studies.
You have this wrong. There's a series of about 13 studies that were done by people we call biostitutes. One of them was the leading one, who are people who do these studies for money for CDC.
He calls them biostitutes. Okay, so let's rewind a second, all right? RFK says that the CDC's own data in 1989 showed that babies that got the hepatitis B vaccine within the first 30 days had a 1,350% chance increase of autism, based on the CDC's own data. But this isn't even taking into account the hepatitis B vaccine and how you get hepatitis B, the fact that it's dirty needles and unprotected sex, and babies tend to do neither. He said the CDC's own data in 1989 showed that babies that got the hepatitis B vaccine within the first 30 days had a 1,350% chance that they would develop autism, a 1,300% chance increase.
They were paid for by CDC in order to create the illusion that vaccines don't cause autism. The chief scientist was a guy called Paul Thornton, who CDC laid, and his study is the most cited study for this proposition. And Paul Thornton is now a fugitive. He's wanted by Interpol. He stole millions of dollars from CDC that he had claimed to use on this study, but he was building houses, buying motorcycles, and living a life of luxury. And his study is absolute fraud. And yet they have not retracted it because CDC is a dishonest organization. It continues to be cited in the literature. And
it's fascinating to listen to this stuff. And you always get more nuggets that you need to dig in on with RFK interviews. And this is something that I'm definitely going to be looking into, and I want you to be doing your own research too. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you if these vaccines cause autism. But when he says that the guy that did the main study, the chief scientist, Paul Thornton, it's one of the most referenced and cited studies saying that vaccines don't cause autism, is on the run and wanted by Interpol for stealing millions upon millions of dollars. It's definitely a head scratcher, is it not?
By the way, John, there are hundreds and hundreds of studies. I've written a book, if you're interested, called Aerosol, Let the Science Speak, that has, I think, 1,400 references and over 400 studies cited that link autism and other related neurological injuries to vaccines. There is no question about it. If you actually read the literature, if you listen to what the propaganda that CDC tells you, yeah, vaccines don't cause autism. But it's propaganda. This is a captive agency that is intertwined and owned by the pharmaceutical industry.
And you know what? You can't argue with that. You can't argue with the fact that the CDC is owned by the pharmaceutical industry. You can't argue with the fact that all this thrashing and gnashing of teeth when it comes to RFK by these medical industry experts are because they're worried about their payday, because they're worried about a guy that's going to come in and ask serious questions. And you look around the world, Japan doesn't give the hepatitis B vaccine to babies on the first day of life. They don't. They don't. It's just plain and simple. Asking questions is not attacking science. Doing more research is science. It's not anti-science. And when you look at the increases in vaccine injuries and autism in kids, and you look at the increases in the amount of vaccines given, you have to want to ask the question. Don't you want to ask the question? I want to ask the question, and I want to get people in there that are going to do real studies, and not lean on a study from a guy that's wanted by Interpol for stealing millions of dollars from the CDC to build homes and buy motorcycles instead of doing studies. This interview is fascinating. If you want to watch the whole thing, you can go to my Twitter page, @ChrisHandOnAir. I suggest you do, and I suggest that you do your own research, okay? And that's with everything. It's not even just with the medical industry. It's just do your own research throughout life. Don't take anybody's word for anything. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of schmaxines. I'm not. My kids didn't get the hepatitis B vaccine. They didn't, because I said they're not going to be playing in dirty needles or having unprotected sex. They're not. The vaccine schedule is insanely large. I mean, it's like 70 plus. If you do every recommended shot, every flu shot, every COVID vaccine, you're over 70 before the kid reaches 18. It's something like a jab every 3 months. That's insanity. It's insanity. And we have to ask, why did the schedule, fly up in number? And we have to be able to trust the people giving us the answers. And I'm sorry, after the COVID pandemic, the trust from the CDC and the World Health Organization is at an all-time low. And we know that doctors' offices are bonused by these pharmaceutical companies based on how many patients are vaccinated. What percentage of the audience, of their clientele, is fully vaccinated? They're getting bonuses based on that. There's so much money around every corner at all these things. I just want somebody that's not motivated by money. I want somebody that's motivated by actually the health of the nation. I think RFK is motivated by that. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be right. I could be right, too. But it's not up to me. It's up to you, and you should do your own research. Again, if you want to find this interview with RFK and John Stossel, it's on my Twitter page, @ChrisHandOnAir. Hit the follow button while you're there, and I'll follow back. It's 11:21 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. If you're worried about your investments, you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do, talk to an expert that you can trust. I mean, if you listen to any of the last break, it's all about experts that we can trust. Guys who are motivated to help you, not motivated to help themselves. That's Paul Winkler and Paul Winkler, Inc. Their staff does nothing on commission. The staff focuses on education. Doesn't that sound nice? Listen, this is why I'm a client of Paul Winkler, Inc. I do get paid to do these commercials, but I don't get paid to be a client. I'm a client because I listened to Paul before I got my show here. And when I met him, he was the same guy that I heard on the air. He's an honest, smart guy, and he can break things down for you in a way that you can understand. He's done it for me time and time again. He can do the exact same thing for you. And he'll look at your whole financial picture before helping you make some decisions, because your financial picture is going to be unique to you. And then they'll educate you every step of the way so you never get that uneasy feeling of blind trust. All you have to do to get the ball rolling is set up a 15-minute phone call on the website. Go to paulwinkler.com and schedule that phone call today. You have no time to waste. You're not going to decide that you're not retiring. You're going to retire later. Retire early, please. Retire early and do it with the help of Paul Winkler, Inc. Set up a phone call today, paulwinkler.com.
President-elect Trump announces a $100 billion investment in the U.S., creating at least 100,000 jobs. We'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. You know, Trump is still up there talking. He's taking questions from the press.
This is going on an hour and a half.
He's a beast. The guy has no chill. I love it. I'm here for it. And he had a lot of things to say during some of these questions. I mean, a lot of things to say. One of the things he was asked, do you think schools should mandate vaccines?
Do you think schools should mandate vaccines?
I don't like mandates. I'm not a big mandate person. So, I was against mandates. Mostly Democrat governors did the mandates, and they did a very poor thing. It was, in retrospect, they made a big mistake. Having to do with the education of children. They lost like a year, 2 years of their lives. The mandate was a bad thing. I was against the mandate.
So is that
Yeah, no, he was against the mandate. Listen, give people the choice. Give people the option. I'm fine with that. If you want to take it, take it. That's totally cool. But to force somebody to take it, that was always the wrong move. And people said, whoa, how did Trump win the youth vote? Let's see. That scamdemic that you guys launched took away high school graduation for a whole generation. It took away college graduation for a whole generation. And then you said if you want to come back, you got to get an experimental jab in your arm. Weird. Who could have seen this coming? Who could have seen it? Who could have telegraphed that? I love Trump's answers. I do. He was also asked about the drones. Listen, the drones are one of the biggest stories in America right now. And Trump says the government knows what's happening.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big distance.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people. And they should, because the people are really, they happen to be over Bedminster. Want to know the truth.
Yeah, they were over Trump's house. They were over Trump's house. He actually said that he's avoided a trip to New Jersey because of the drones. Wild. But Trump says they know what's happening. They know what's happening. This is going to get the people that are all in on the nuke theory going even harder. You know that, right? When Trump says the government knows what's happening, and it's not a foreign enemy, or they blast it out of the sky, even if they were late. That's kind of a nod to the Chinese spy balloon that went over the country. It's going to make people say, oh, the nuke theory might be legit. We need more information. Murphy sent me a text here, and so I know he's listening, because he's always listening. But it's the Murphy line. The lack of information leads to speculation. We are big enough to understand it. I just wish the government, for once, could stop treating us like children and tell us what's happening. Can we do that? Like, we don't need to be handheld and whispered sweet nothings in our ear. Give us the raw information, the real data, and then let us do with it as we need. Please. Like, that's what we want. Because they lie to us all the time. All the time. Constantly, they're lying to us. It's wild. We're going to have a lot more from this Trump press conference on the way. And he had a message for the senators that may not be voting for his picks. His picks like Tulsi Gabbard or Pete Hegseth or Kash Patel or Robert F. Kennedy. And you'll maybe you'll be surprised, or you might just be like classic Trump when you hear what he has to say. We'll bring that to you on the way right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. This is the Chris Hand Show, brought to you by Better Water LLC.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. President-elect Trump, 36 days until his second term, just held a news conference for over an hour, answering questions from the media. He started out announcing SoftBank is promising to invest $100 billion in the United States, creating at least 100,000 jobs focused on AI.
It will help ensure that artificial intelligence, emerging technologies, and other industries of tomorrow are built, created, and grown right here in the USA.
He's asking the Biden administration to stop auctioning off unused materials for the southern border wall in what Republicans say is a clear attempt to sabotage efforts to secure the border.
Giving it away, it's something that people can't even believe is happening. So hopefully Joe will be able to stop it.
Trump says his administration will bring down electricity costs.
We'll soon unleash American energy, and this will be done at levels not seen before, issuing quick approvals for pipelines, drilling, and other infrastructure. It'll be clean energy, and we'll bring in the price of electricity, and we're going to bring it down fast. We're also going to create clean coal.
As for campaign promises,
and I'll keep my promise to pass historic tax cuts for American families, workers, and businesses that create jobs in America.
Yeah, he says he's going to bring down the corporate tax rate to 15% for companies who make their products in the U.S. There's so much more to get to from this more than an hour-long news conference from President-elect Trump. This is his first since he won. And, again, 36 days until the start of his second term. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
You said you were going to do Christmas music, but the first one that you played was the worst Christmas song of all time. Is that what you're doing?
I thought I'd kick it off with a very controversial take.
Oh, my gosh. This is not what I approve, folks. I was thinking like Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC.
I mean, yeah, me too.
Or a DMX rendition of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
But we got 10 days left.
Oh, my gosh. Not approved. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Just for the record, Mason went freelance on that one.
No holds barred. You can't stop me. It's Christmas time.
We're less than 10 days away from Christmas.
Not even Kamala Harris could stop us.
No. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
I'm sorry. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. You want to get a gift for the wife? Get her a nice water filter from Better Water LLC.
Yeah.
Go full Japan and get that fluoride out of there, too. That's what we need. Donald Trump just concluded his first press conference since winning his re-election, and it's unbelievable, man. One of the first things that they did was they announced that SoftBank, this Japanese company, has announced a $100 billion investment in the United States.
And we've just concluded a very productive meeting, and today I'm thrilled to announce that SoftBank will be investing $100 billion in America, creating 100,000 American jobs at a minimum. And he's doing this because he feels very optimistic about our country since the election.
Yeah, a lot of people feel optimistic about the country since the election. A lot. And I mean, what is it? Small business optimism is up like 41%. But during this announcement of the $100 billion investment, the SoftBank CEO comes up to say a few words. And Trump, he's so good. Trump got him to invest $100 billion. And then while he's at the podium, the CEO, while he's at the mic, he says, hey, how about we make it $200 billion instead?
I'm excited to go, and we were discussing, and President Trump said, Masa, double that is not enough. Maybe, go for more, right?
That's what I'm going to ask him right now. Would you make it $200 billion instead? He can actually, believe it or not, he can actually afford to do that. Would you do that?
Well, my promise is 100, but, he's now asking to do more. I think, with your leadership, my partnership with you, with your support, I will try to make it happen.
That's good.
All right.
200. He'll make it. 200 billion investment.
He is a great negotiator.
I mean, we're watching the art of the deal in real time. This is what Donald Trump is bringing back to this country. I mean, you can hear the optimism, you can hear the positivity, and you got a $100 billion investment over 4 years. I love it. I'm here for it. And the CEO says he's doing it because of the confidence that he has in the American economy now that Donald Trump is back at the helm.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very excited. I would really like to celebrate the great victory of President Trump. And my confidence level to the economy of the United States has tremendously increased with his victory.
Yeah, I think all of our confidence has tremendously increased because of the victory. Honestly. And we understand that this is going to be different than 2016. Day one, Donald Trump is getting in there ready to roll.
Starting on day one, we'll implement a rapid series of bold reforms to restore our nation to full prosperity. We're going to go full prosperity and to build the greatest economy the world has ever seen, just as we had just a short time ago. We had it in my term. We had the greatest economy that the world had seen. We were blowing away everybody. Our country was doubling up on China, doubling up on everybody, and everybody knows it. And then we had to slow it down with COVID, unfortunately, at the end. But even then, I gave it back with a substantial increase of the stock market, bigger than it was pre-COVID. So it was pretty amazing.
And let's not forget where COVID came from, where it originated, where we were banned off the internet for saying it came from China. We know that. We know that. But the prosperity is the mission. Prosperity, and the prosperity is going to help everyone. in America. That's what we need. And he's already got preparations underway.
Already preparations are underway to slash massive numbers of job-killing regulations, eliminating 10 old regulations for every new one. You put a new regulation on, you have to get rid of 10, and we'll be able to do it. And that was about the percentage we had. We cut more regulations than any president has ever cut by far, actually, by approximately 5 times. Some of those regulations, unfortunately, were put back on, but we'll catch up very quickly. We'll catch up with it.
Yeah, and I believe him when he says it. Listen, this guy understands business. I don't think Joe Biden understands where he is right now. You know, the difference couldn't be more
starting on day one,
more clear to the American people. And he also talked about Joe Biden selling off sections of the border wall. And listen, he's pissed. He's pissed. And you can understand why. Everything was paid for, and then COVID happened, then the Inflation Reduction Act happened, and now all the materials that are sitting there ready to build the wall are being sold for pennies on the dollars, and we'll have to buy them at, what, 2 to 3 times more?
But now we ordered an additional 200 miles of wall. It's very expensive, and now it's about double the price of what it would have been 6 years ago. And the administration is trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, knowing that we're getting ready to put it up. And what they're doing is really an act. It's almost a criminal act. They know we're going to use it, and if we don't have it, we're going to have to rebuild it, and it'll cost double what it cost years ago, and that's hundreds of millions of dollars, because you're talking about a lot of wall. I built much more than I said I was going to build, but then after it was built, I said, you know, we can do some more, because it's sort of like water, people flow through, and that will pretty much really take care of it. And what happened is they just, as you see, they're trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, and that's really, that has nothing to do with a smooth transition. That has to do with people really trying to stop our nation. And all it means really is that we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars more, not even talking about the time. Time would be pretty long, but we'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars more on building the same wall that we already have.
Yeah, nothing is going to stop what's coming. You're just going to cost the American people more. Listen, this is getting built whether you like it or not. This is not going to be like the Biden administration where we're suing Texas to remove razor wire. It's not going to be like the Biden administration suing Arizona to remove the shipping container wall. It's getting built. Deal with it. You can be petty on your way out, but it's not going to stop anything. It's not. And Trump's mission is to fix America for the American people. Plain and simple. Biden can be petty on his way out. It's not going to change anything.
But this will be the most exciting and successful period of reform and renewal in all of American history, maybe of global history. The golden age of America, I call it. It's begun. So it's the golden age of America, and that's what it's going to be. And we hope we don't have any intervening problems, because things happen, like out of nowhere came the China virus, out of nowhere came other things we don't want to have. You know, when I left, we had no wars, we had no problems. The Middle East was good. We did the Abraham Accords. We did things that nobody thought were even possible.
Yeah, let's get back to that. Let's get back to no new wars. Let's get back to peace. That's what we want. That's what Trump wants.
We will not rest until America is richer, safer, and stronger than it has ever been before.
I don't think Joe Biden's ever done a press conference this long. Ever. Kamala Harris didn't do it while she was campaigning. Trump is just an animal in these situations. He's built for these situations. And he's defending his people. He's defending his promises that he's made to the American public, and he's defending the people that he's bringing on to execute those promises, including a guy we were just talking about a moment ago, Robert Kennedy Jr.
Two quick questions. First, on vaccines, do you want RFK Jr. to revoke any vaccines?
No, I want him to come back with a report as to what he thinks. We're going to find out a lot. We're doing two things. We're going to have tremendous cost savings that will come out of this. That's a minimum. And we're also going to have, and I think, very serious discussions about certain things, whether it's pesticides. Europe doesn't use pesticides, and yet they have a better mortality rate than we do. They don't use pesticides. In fact, they use it as an excuse not to take our farm product. We spend billions and billions of dollars on pesticides, and something bad's happening. Again, you take a look at autism today versus 20, 25 years ago, it's like not even believable. So we're going to have reports. No, nothing's going to happen very quickly. I think you're going to find that Bobby he's a very rational guy. I found him to be very rational. No, nothing, you're not going to lose the polio vaccine. That's not going to happen. I saw what happened with the polio. I have friends that were very much affected by that. I have friends from many years ago, and they have, obviously, they're still in not such good shape because of it. And many people died. And the moment they took that vaccine, it ended. Dr. Jonas Salk did a great job. So I don't anticipate that at all.
No, and I love that he brings up the polio vaccine, because this is like, there's a generational misunderstanding here with what RFK Jr. is trying to do. He's not trying to rip the polio vaccine off the shelves. He's not trying to rip any vaccines off the shelves. He wants to actually do research to figure out what is causing the issues in American health. Is it the vaccines? Is it the food? Is it a combination of both? The fact of the matter is, we don't have people honestly looking at this right now. We don't. And there are a lot of people that hear RFK and they hear the propaganda around him and they think that he's this crazy loon anti-vaxxer. And it couldn't be further from the truth. It really couldn't. It's just a guy that wants answers, and a guy that's done his own research and looked at the research of others and said, wow, this is eye-opening stuff. We should really discuss this. And people go, whoa, you sound insane. He's like, whoa, I just wanted to discuss what we have here in this data set. Whoa, dude, you're an anti-vaxxer. It's like, no, that's not the case. I love that he's standing up for RFK. He also went on the record and said he's not going to deal with mandates. Not a fan of mandates. I don't think anybody's a fan of the mandates. And that should never, ever happen again in this country. Another topic that came up, of course, mass deportations.
Plans. Have you had any preliminary discussions with countries like Venezuela, from where the Tren de Aragua gang is now popping up?
They'll take them back.
They're going to take them back?
They're all taking them back, yep. And if they don't, they'll be met very harshly economically. Okay, they'll all take them back. Venezuela and other countries were not behaving very well with us during my administration, and within 24 hours, they were behaving very well. They'll all take them back.
They'll all take them back. You're going back, whether you like it or not. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. We're going to check in with Chad Benson. He's in next. He's in for Murphy today, who's in for Wilson today. We're doing musical chairs until Brian's last show on December 24th. And we celebrated Brian over the weekend at his 50th anniversary / Christmas party. It was a great time. We're going to miss Brian Wilson, but man, we got a great guy in Chad Benson joining the station here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll check in with him next. It's 11:54 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, joined in studio by Chad Benson. What's up, man? How are you?
What's happening, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Did you hear that the Syrian prisoner that was rescued by CNN from the jail cell was actually a notorious Assad torturer?
So he basically pulled a one-over on him.
Oh, yeah. Now we know why he was finally groomed.
Yeah, that would be the first thing. It's like, oh, they just caught me like a week before everything went to hell.
Do you think that he pulled a fast one on CNN, or CNN found a random guy and they were like, hey, let's do this for TV?
Guy. They thought this would be good. They found a random guy and come out to fight. It wasn't as random as he thought, and now he gets to go free.
That's where I'm at.
Until somebody finds him, because somebody will in that region, and they'll butcher him.
Yep.
And he probably deserves every bit of it.
Fair enough.
You know, I mean, that region's a mess.
Oh, it's not a place I would choose to vacation.
There's the reason the drones aren't going over there. They're like, we don't want to be here. These aliens are like, these people are odd, man. They're shooting at us, shooting at each other.
What's your opinion on all weekend long, the theories on the drones have been everywhere.
Fantastic. I love watching. It's ours. They're all ours.
Are they nuke sniffing? Dirty bomb sniffers?
Probably a little bit of that. Probably also, how close can we get before anybody grab stuff on radar? They're all AI probably too. That's the other thing. They're all AI. Because some of the stuff that's interesting that I've seen where you think, ooh, that's alien looking, is the stuff without lights. No aliens can wear. The FAA is very clear about the rules, and the rules are you have to have the lights on when you're flying. That's not going to happen. I've seen signs. I know how it works.
Yep.
Now, the weird stuff is some of the weird, like you saw the radio thing, right?
Yes, that it took over the radio.
That was a trip. Like that right there was like, okay, that's screams of signs.
Yeah, it's weird.
You know? And so, but it's got to be ours. I mean, you know, and I'm sure it's very interesting. You know, Jimmy Carter was given something way back in the day that apparently made him wept for 2 days about, it was a Jimmy Carter briefing about aliens. And one of the things in there the CIA has always said is, because they're the kind of ones who run everything, is just because you're the president and you're on a need to know because you want to know, doesn't give you a reason to know. And one of the things they've talked about is that we are supposedly an experiment to see what would happen if they gave us.
It's like South Park. We're just a reality TV show.
Kind of. What would happen?
We took a species from every planet and dropped them down this week on Earth.
That's basically like what would happen if they gave us a deity, something to worship. Like it's like we're the Sims, and we're playing the Sims, by the way, too. You think the Sims think they're real? Maybe.
Maybe.
Like, did you see the quantum computer last week, Willow?
No.
So Willow is this new computer. It is so advanced that our supercomputers, they gave it a mathematical thing for these supercomputers to figure out. It would take 10 septillion years for it to figure out. So that is a number with 24 zeros behind it. It figured it out in 5 minutes. And its thing is, we are just there's several different dimensions. Like, think of Marvel, several timelines.
Yep.
But this thing is so advanced that it's crazy advanced. Our best supercomputers in the world are 30 billion years behind it. Like, that's how brilliant it is.
Really?
Yes.
And who created that?
That's a Google and probably an Elon and probably aliens. I would assume. I'm assuming it's aliens. This seems like alien technology.
It's safe to assume.
Some of this stuff is creepy. I mean, I'm not going to lie to it. And then my wife's like, is it the second coming? I'm like, I don't know if they're going to put on FAA lights on the second coming. I'm not quite sure. Jesus is like, if you guys are going down there, put the lights on, because they get all like, they got a lot of government rules.
They get a little bit weirded out.
So, but I mean, there's some interesting stuff. The stuff over the ocean is very interesting. But this next warfare or any of the stuff, it's not going to be humans. It's all going to be AI. It is all going to be drones.
Well, I mean, you see it now in Ukraine. You can find the videos online of Russian soldiers running from a drone that just explodes near them.
All built off of Amazon.
Yeah.
And, it's all built off of Amazon. So none of that stuff is, like, the stuff we have now is so much more advanced. And it's neat. But some of it's also rather, the orbs are interesting. Because I've seen some of the orbs, and I thought, well, that's weird. Yeah. But how much of that is just we're practicing? We're practicing for something else. We're practicing for who knows what. Maybe we're practicing. Maybe they know there's an alien coming, and we're practicing to make sure we've got our stuff in order.
Maybe.
That would be a good one.
It's spooky.
It is. It is spooky. There's no doubt. I mean, you're out there, and the frustration of not knowing what's flying over you is kind of weird. Like, that's kind of a weird thing.
How much of it do you think it's the government trying to gin up hysteria and fear?
Well, I think they don't mind it.
I think
what's going
they're
on over
big
here while the
fans.
other hand's over here.
Oh yeah, Biden's pardoning everybody and their mother, including Chinese child porn offenders.
That guy at a SMU or wherever.
Oh my gosh.
That was insane.
How do you send him back?
No.
I would send him back somewhere, but it would be like wood chipper feet first.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, you got to send him back to China. And the other thing, he pardoned those judges that were essentially selling those kids to all these facilities.
For what? Like smoking in the bathroom at school?
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're going to jail forever. Now you're going to you're going up street to a boys' school that's going to kick back $10,000 to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I mean, but I think some of this stuff I think they like the hysteria.
Yep.
The government, especially some of the agencies, but to think that it's aliens in conjunction with aliens. Some of the stuff and technology they're talking about on these things where they don't put out heat and they make no noise is super awesome.
Yeah.
But we don't have that capability yet.
It's interesting. The no heat signature is wild.
Why? That's the wildest thing that's out there. It's like that no heat side of things because I don't think your phone puts off heat.
Yep. Everything does.
Yeah. It's creepy cool.
If it has a battery, how does a battery not put off heat?
That's exactly it. And the fact that these things can go in such a way, and you could be next to them, and you can't see it, hear it, as far as the heat signature or anything, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
wild.
it's probably ours. Thanks to space aliens.
Reverse engineered alien tech.
That's it. Out of Area 51 and 52.
There you go. Chad Benson's in next. He's taking over the Murphy shift 12 to 3 come December 26th. Is that when you're jumping in?
So here's the thing. Wednesday, I'm basically doing it all the way through because everybody's on vacation. So
perfect.
So starting Wednesday, I'll be off tomorrow, and then starting Wednesday, basically that's it.
Let's go. Chad Benson, we're happy to have you on the team, man. Very excited. He's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.